It's Friday, January 29. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The country should know by Monday the initial number of doses of COVID-19 vaccines it will be receiving through the COVAX facility. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is targeting just over 440,000 people to receive the vaccine initially. The facility is a project convened by the World Health Organization and its partners to develop and equally distribute COVID-19 vaccines to participating countries. Jamaica's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Pbcj says there will be enough doses.
Tomorrow, it is expected that they will send out to countries participating in the COVAX an initial estimation of the actual amount of doses that you are going to be receiving and the timeline for the first 2 quarters.
The first phase will see healthcare personnel, parliamentarians, their senior staff, elderly citizens, police officers, soldiers, residents and staff of nursing homes receiving doses of the vaccines. At 2 doses per person, an estimated 677,033 doses of the vaccine would be needed.
Once we would have completed phase 1, then we would go on to phase 2, where in collaboration with the different committees and the commission that involve the stakeholder groups, we will be defining what that second level is in terms of the priority groups. And we've had different persons express interest. We've heard about teachers, hotel workers. Certainly, we are going to be looking at who next.
The ministry will be using fixed vaccination centers at hospitals and health centers and deploying mobile teams to outposts. Dr. Pbcj says the ministry's technical committee within the Family Health Unit will be on ground.
Really, these are the people that have the experience with working with vaccines and are responsible for expanded program of immunization that we have been carrying out for several years. So in terms of logistics planning, management of it, both the delivery and what happens after, then this committee is ideally placed to deal with all the technical aspects of it. And we have 4 subcommittees of this national committee which deal with vaccine supply, cold chain and logistics, demand generation and communications, very important, process monitoring and reporting, and of course service delivery and safety.
Dr. Pbcj says a vaccine commission will be overseeing all aspects of the COVID-19 vaccine rollout,
which is a multi-stakeholder group that has been appointed by the minister, which comprises stakeholders from all across different sectors, because everyone has something to say and needs to make an input in how it is that we both ensuring that we carry out the plan, we stick to what is supposed to be there in the plan, and of course giving information that may add to or subtract from the plan.
The Jamaican government is also negotiating with China, Cuba and India for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines once they become available. Time now for the latest COVID-19 clinical management summary from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is reporting that the island has recorded 27 cases of COVID-19 and 1 virus-related death over the last 24 hours. This increasing the number of total confirmed cases to 15,462. The latest death toll now stands at 345. The country also recorded 20 new recoveries, bringing that total to 11,981. The newly confirmed cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew, 20, Clarendon, 2, St. Mary, 2, Portland, St. Catherine and Trelawney, 1 each. The Health and Wellness Ministry continues to urge Jamaicans to wear their masks, sanitize and be safe. Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
Jamaica should switch from analog television broadcasting to digital television by 2023. That's the word from Information Minister Favour Williams. Changing from analog to digital affects all links in the broadcasting value chain, including the content, production, transmission and reception. The digital switchover will be implemented in stages. the initial focus on main urban centers.
We'll start with the television presentation format. Television presentation format will be high-definition standard technology that will provide significant improvements in the quality of what Jamaicans will see on their over-the-air TVs. After assessing all the transmission standards that exist globally, Jamaica has settled on the North American standard, which is the Advanced Television Systems Committee, or ATSC 3.0. Most of the televisions in Jamaica come from the US, and so it will be easier to make the switch.
The switchover will reportedly cost over $18 million. The switchover is a complex process with economic, social, and political implications.
The approximate cost for the industry is anywhere between US 18 to 20 million for this switchover. And in terms of, from the household perspective, given the significant reduction in technology, we believe a set-top box, which is a one-time cost to the household, would be anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 Jamaican dollars one-time cost to buy that set-top box so you could get the signal, the digital signal.
A committee is to be established to oversee the management of the project.
The committee is chaired by the Minister of Information, supported by Deputy Chairman, the Honorable Robert Nesta Morgan, Minister of State. The members include representatives from the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Office of the Prime Minister, Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, the Broadcasting Commission, Spectrum Management Authority, CVM Television Limited, Television Jamaica, Love TV, Public Broadcasting Corporation, Columbus Communications, Digicel Group Jamaica, Jamaica Association of Community Cable Operators, National Consumers League, Combined Disabilities Association, and Anti-Dumping and Subsidies Commission.
February was officially declared as Reggae Month on January 9, 2008. Reggae Month highlights and celebrates the impact of the musical genre on the country's social, cultural, and economic development. In 2018, reggae was recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage worthy of protection and promotion. The annual month-long celebration is being held under the theme, Come Catch the Riddim virtually. The Pbcj is the official channel and social media platform for the event, which begins with a church service this Sunday, January 31 at 10:30 in the morning. Masterclasses in publishing and copyright for songwriters, musicians, and artists will be a feature of this year's Reggae Month activities. For a complete listing of all Reggae Month activities, which will be streamed live here on Pbcj and all our social media platforms, go to Pbcj's Facebook and Pbcj's Instagram pages. Jamaica's conch season starts April 1 with very strict rules to prevent illegal fishing and to ensure a sustainable industry. More from Marlon Samuels.
Exported as a delicacy, Queen conch is loaded with protein, iron, and omega-3. It is also been touted among the new superfoods. A 2020 survey shows a major improvement in the density of conch stock by approximately 16%. To over 180 conchs per hectare. This follows a ban in 2018 on the fishing of conch to allow for the replenishment of stock. Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Floyd Green says there will be an allowance for a total catch of 250 and 300 metric tons for industrial and small traditional fishers when the season starts. A number of stringent regulations have been put in place by the National Fisheries Authority, NFA, for conch season. They include no fishing for conch in the areas east of the South Key. The regulations also stipulate that all conch fishing vessels must operate on a real-time monitoring system that the NFA can track. Minister Green says the authorities are on a full enforcement drive to protect Jamaica's conch industry from foreign and local poachers from fishing in the country's waters. For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
For news on the JSE Combined Index and other market activity, we join Gabriel Thompson with the business report.
In Thursday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index advanced by 753 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 83 stocks, of which 36 advanced, 33 declined, and 14 traded firm. The Junior Market Index advanced by 0.84 cents to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services, and CAC 2000 Limited. Stocks declined for Barita Investments Limited, Blue Power Group, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica, AMG Packaging and Paper Company, and CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with 2.6 million units, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 1.9 million units and Derrimon Trading Company Limited with over 1 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Thursday, January 28, ended trading at $148.59. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $116.99. The pound sterling traded for $204.67, and the euro ended trading at $182.04. In this week's edition of Financially Focused, financial coach Denise Williams is joined by attorney at law Robert Taylor to discuss the possibility of kickstarting your real estate investments with a Jamaican passport.
Many of us who seek other passports, we hold a Jamaican passport and we seek other passports, and we take for granted some of the benefits that being a Jamaican citizen provides. Certainly in the COVID period, many people who lived abroad recognized and appreciated some of the safeguards of being able to return to Jamaica and have that sense of protection or insulation from a pandemic. So yes, the Jamaican passport has benefits with the National Housing Trust. Jamaican citizens can benefit from that trust. That trust provides subsidized lending rates. And so there's always that opportunity for persons to grow their asset base, invest in Jamaica, and take benefit of their birthright.
The value of that benefit to someone holding a Jamaican passport is $50,000 US. Can you believe that, Robert? I mean, if your family has the connection and you don't have that passport, you're giving away $50,000 US, Robert.
Well, and to think that you can combine with another contributor and you can actually double or treble that benefit. So there's a multiple effect in one particular or any particular family if they apply the benefit.
Shall we add the interest rate, 1 to 4%? What do you say about the interest rate, Robert?
Well, with that low rate of interest, Denise, it gives any purchaser the opportunity to treat their asset as an investment, because the returns, more than likely over time would exceed the interest rate. And also, interest rates are globally competitive. So while commercial bank lending rates tend to be between 7, 8, and maybe up to 11%, this is a very significantly subsidized rate.
Question though, Robert, I know that you at 18, you can benefit from the National Housing Trust. But at what age can you benefit from having an actual passport?
Well, Denise, based on my experience and the process, once your you're born and you qualify. An application, if you're a minor, that application can be made on your behalf by an adult.
So basically, you can pre-plan for your child. So if your parents are, again, we're using Jamaica as the case study, but this applies around the world. So if your parents are Jamaican, but your children are born in the UK, in Canada, wherever, you can also plan for your children to get this housing benefit as well as yourself by getting your child, even if they're not even 18, a Jamaican passport.
Right. So when they get to the age of qualification, everything would already have been in place.
If you're in Jamaica, you can go to the Passport Immigration Office. They give you the address, 8 Waterloo Road. There are Jamaican High Commissions around the US, the UK, and Canada. And you can also submit online. So you have 3 ways of getting the ball rolling. But guess what? Robert, a lot of your clients, I'm sure, don't want to do the paperwork. So tell me, how do you engage an attorney? Because if your end goal is to buy property, don't you think it's at like the beginning of the process, you should probably engage an attorney? So what can Taylor Law do for someone who wants to buy property, wants the housing benefit as well?
Well, Denise, what we would simply do is guide the process. The reality is, and this may seem unusual for many persons outside of Jamaica having to deal with Jamaica, is that PICA, the Passport and the Immigration Office, the website is very user-friendly.
Okay.
There are a number of levels of service, including expedition, that works very robustly. And we've had very good experiences with this department. So a lot of kudos to that department. So, we can guide the person through the process of filling out the forms, actual submission of the forms we can provide some support with. But the turnaround times are entirely dependent once an application is complete on the Passport Office. And you can elect to use various levels of service in terms of return time.
Right. Again, this is something you can do around the world. I suspect in this day and age, most passport offices around the world are online. So if your family is from, as I said, we're using Jamaica as a case study, but if your family is from somewhere else, it's just a matter of Googling the passport office.
For more information on the development of your financial future, head on over to financiallyfocusedmedia.com or find Denise on YouTube at Financially Focused. And that does it for the Friday edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
In regional news, we look to Trinidad and Tobago. There's a call from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley for parents, guardians, and those responsible for transporting children to remain vigilant when taking them to and from school. More in this report from Crystal Wilson.
With the virus. This from Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley on Thursday during a press conference at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's. The Prime Minister said this country's response to COVID-19 between the Christmas season and now has allowed for some children to return to school come February 8th. He's urging, however, that concern about COVID-19 should remain heightened and asked parents and guardians not to take things lightly.
Come out, go to school, get back home. No amount of liming, no amount of coming together, partying and congregation. You'll be asked to come out. Yes, try and be alone as you come out. Stay away from populations as much as you can.
Students in Forms 4 to 6 will return to school on February 8th, and those preparing to write the SEA exam will begin on April 12th. The Prime Minister assured things are in place to ensure COVID-19 protocols are maintained at all schools.
We have made arrangements through the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education to have additional staff in the school compounds to try and assist the teachers and the students to be protected and to protect themselves.
Dr. Rowley said while other countries are going in an entirely different direction, he feels this country has made progress enough to allow for returning to the classroom.
And I trust that we will so do it that it is not a decision that we have to cancel in short order. Because if something happens in the national population or with the students, we will certainly have to make adjustments.
Crystal Wilson, TTT News.
Even with an additional 44 beds recently added to the respiratory hospital in St. Lucia, the number of active COVID-19 cases in care stands at 438 patients. Hundreds more are in isolation and under quarantine. The rapid spike of new COVID-19 cases has forced health authorities to scrap vacation leave for all public health workers and procure more privately owned accommodation properties to make up for the shortfall.
New guidelines from the World Health Organization, according to OKEU Respiratory Hospital Medical Director, Dr. Alicia Eugene Ford, will go a long way to help alleviate some of the pressure off St. Lucia's health system.
These guidelines came out on this January the 18th of this year. So you realize that persons actually spend less time in the hospital or isolated, whether it's at home or in the hospital. Of course, WHO would have made these changes supported by science.
The United States Center for Disease Control and the WHO this month revised their recommendations for discharging patients who tested positive for the virus. Symptomatic patients can be released from care within 13 days. Asymptomatic patients within 10 days. There are 126 beds at the respiratory hospital. That includes 44 recently added. But more than 430 people currently have an active COVID-19 diagnosis. Shorter hospital stays could help healthcare workers better manage the rash of new COVID-19 cases associated with the island's third wave of the pandemic. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar George says St. Lucia may have to deal with even more COVID-19 waves in the coming months.
This curve, we can bring it down if we work together and if we do the responsible thing. And this is where we need to focus, because we'll get through this wave and it will not be our last wave. We anticipate managing several waves during 2021, but the timing at which we can bring this wave down a lot faster with personal responsibility in terms of us not socializing, ensuring we wear our mask in public places.
Authorities blame the sweeping third wave on Christmas and New Year's activity and other COVID-19 protocol breaches.
But I wanted to ask about the protocols last year. Some of them were relaxed a bit for the Christmas and New Year's. Considering the third wave and the rate of infection today or this month, was that decision medically appropriate?
The biggest problem we saw during December was not the change in the policies, because they were still restrictive. They still allowed very small groups. There are certain things that we stopped to reduce the crowding, like the fireworks, etc. We canceled all staff parties and all activities. We stopped a lot of the social activities associated with the season. But what we noted, which put us at great risk during the month of December, was the non-adherence to home quarantine and the non-adherence to these very same policies.
The rapid rise in new COVID-19 cases has prompted the Health Ministry to cancel vacation for public health workers. Meanwhile, authorities intend to commandeer private accommodation properties to handle the overflow of COVID-19 patients.
Later this week, we'll also be including 2 other hotels as isolation and also as quarantine units to assist us in containment and isolation.
Rihani Isidore, NBC Prime.
In sports, Trinidad and Tobago boxer Michael Alexander is fighting for his life as he remains in the intensive care unit at Port of Spain General Hospital after a vehicular accident on Wednesday afternoon. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.